All right. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me to be part of this conversation. Um, okay, so for me to respond to that question, I think it's a bit of a very broad one, but I'll try to summarize it. So I think basically the idea behind the reform, I would say, is to as much as possible make it easier for businesses to thrive, right? Um, in the sense that what we had before, we had a situation where, someone would say that for every challenge that was faced in the country, so to say, there was always a tax law promulgated to deal with that. For example, there was need for to increase funding in education, so there was education tax. There was a challenge with maybe information technology development, and there was NIDA levy, and then Naseni came up for infrastructure. So almost every issue has a tax to address it. So again, government felt there's a need to, because that makes businesses struggle to even know what to comply with. Because when you have a lot of such uh, taxes or obligations scattered in, especially in different books, so it makes it difficult to keep track of that. So the government felt it's important to harmonize all of these various taxes and consolidate them to make it easier taxpayers to actually comply. So that's what gave rise to what we call the development levy. So all of those other taxes paid by corporates are now consolidated into one called development levy. That is aside the corporate income tax that's and other taxes, including the VAT and the rest. But again, this is also to aligning with global best practice, because if you look at most countries too, we don't have that kind of fragmented taxes all over the place. So at least if you're talking about levy is 4%. Then every other thing else is taxes, right? So it's always important to make that distinction between a levy um, and then a tax, right? So that is just that. So again, apart from that, simplification was also one of the key, pillars that informed the reform. So the government also felt that the need to simplify the system, apart from harmonizing them, it's also important to simplify them because some of those laws were written, several decades ago. Take the Stamp Duties Act, for example. I think it was written as far back as 1939 or so. So you can imagine the kind of language used in the law, and even throughout my career, it was one of the taxes or tax codes that we struggle to understand. All right, because of the kind of language used there. You hear things like endorsement, things like adjudication, and all kinds of language there. So that has largely been simplified to make it easier again for compliance. Okay, so and the law also focused, like I said, making easier for businesses to operate. The law also, apart from simplification, the law also tried to introduce a number of threshold. In some cases, increase the thresholds, right, of exemption for businesses. For example, for you in the past, for you to qualify for exemption under the company income tax in the past, you have to have a turnover of threshold of about 25 million annually. So you mean that what that means is that whether you're a content creator operating under a limited liability company, then you have to get up to 25 million. If you're operating less than 5 million, you are exempted, from company income tax and including VAT at the time. So, but now that has even been increased to, of course, to 100 million. Now, saying that is actually increasing the number of people that are off the nets, right? For example, so just to encourage small businesses to also grow. So, I think, I would just summarize by saying that the whole objective is taxing right and not taxing more, right? I mean, some people, I've heard some testimony so far, some people saying that when they saw their salary this month, of January, those that have gotten salary for January, they noticed that there was an increase in their take home, right? So that tells you that, of course, that the government is actually living or walking the talk. So, contrary to what was out there, that it was all about trying to kill or strangle people or strangle businesses. So that's just a way. I will just leave it at this point so that we can proceed. Thank you.